Right, yes. So welcome everyone. This is our fourth session of the relationship advice that we're getting from our coach Olga. And we've had a fantastic time. I have gained a lot. There are lots of things that I didn't know about relationships, about myself, about my relationship, not only with my lovers or in such, but also with just the general public, with my family, my children, my sisters, my brothers. It has brought a lot of things, and I've learned a lot. I hope everyone else is also learning a lot from all these workshops. And welcome to those people. I've seen we've got about 4 or 5 new people that have joined us. We are very welcome. Please feel free to participate, to ask Olga questions, to put comments whenever you feel like putting comments. So, yeah. Olga, you can take it away now.
Okay, all right. Just for the record's sake, my name is Mary Olga Broa, and I am a relations coach as well as an emotional transformational trainer. So what I train or what I talk about is not just to motivate you, really. It is to bring a permanent transformation. So those that have ears, please hear. And today we are on our fourth or the last of our 4 series on creating healthy, happy relationships. And today is the topic is positioning for love. So yes, should I carry on or do you want to have a word about it? Okay, yes.
Yeah. We can just recap on last week. You can ask anyone to.
Okay, so if anyone wants to recap on what we talked about last week our topic was oh dear, what was it?
I think finding healing. Was it not finding healing?
No, the healing was the second one.
So
number 3. Who remembers what number 3 was? Come on.
Was what a healthy relationship looks like.
Oh yes, thank you. So yes, so last week was what a healthy relationship looks like, and we realized that a healthy relationship depends on who you are, who you're with, as well as your level of woundedness, I guess. So you cannot be healthy above your healing status, to be honest, right? So what may look toxic from the outside to other people, it may actually be comfortable for you because that's how toxic you are as well. But that is very familiar to yours, to who you are and to your subconscious, your belief system. And that makes it very, very difficult, I guess, then to define what healthy is in a kind of general broad term. But whatever brings you the most peace is what is healthy at that level. And the more you heal, the more you realize that you want to distance yourself from toxicity. But you may not actually see that you're in a toxic relationship because that is what is very, very familiar. And you probably keep going and finding the same kind of toxic relationships because you've not healed. So anyone else that wants to recap of what happened last week or what we talked about last week?
I think what I understood from what you said is that when you go into a relationship, you need to actually know what you want from the relationship. I think you need a list of those qualities or things that you prioritize, those things that you say, these are the deal breakers, and those things that you think I can compromise on these ones and that sort of thing. Don't just go in without you having anything, knowing anything that you are looking for. That's when you just find yourself in a mess.
Yes. So we used a model called CAR, C-A-R, and C was communication and A was attention. So the things that you pay attention to, you know, and then R was, well, I remember now.
Respect.
So yeah, so respect. So respect for yourself and respect from the other person and all that. So yeah, so today is quite an exciting topic. You know, it had me thinking a lot. I was thinking, how do we position ourselves for love? And looking back at everything that we talked about, especially about attachment styles and the subconscious and how the subconscious makes who we are, I was thinking positioning for love could be very, very tricky. I mean, presenting positioning for love could be very tricky because it's it's an individualized thing. And then I thought, okay, for us to really to check if we're really ready for relationships, we've got to be real, right? We need a reality check. So I came up with real as our guide for what we're going to talk about today. So REAL, real, okay? And really this was, I got the motivation for this realness from kind of a case or story on social media, where and then going through the responses and then thinking people are very angry. Like we've got a very angry community out there who are just ready to go part of it, right? Who are not prepared to work on anything. They just think anything that somebody does wrong, it's run with your life, run with your life. And sometimes we don't even wait to hear and understand what that person's contribution to the breakdown was. Okay, so that's where I got my real, well, that's what inspired the real, okay? So I'll quickly zoom through it so that today we can be talking more about issues. Mavis did ask if people could pre-write in the group about the issues that they want addressed. And we did have one request from a gentleman, Joe, who I will address that once we open the floor. So be thinking about what it is that you may be finding difficult in terms of positioning yourself and or finding the relationship that you want. Okay, so R. So this R is, I hope you can see, guys. Let's see. Are you guys able to see?
Let me have a look. Yeah, we can. I can see. I don't know about everyone else.
Can you guys see the board?
Yes, I can see the board, but I'm struggling to read the smaller letters. I can see the real, but the other.
But I'll go through explaining anyway what is there. So for the R, we got reflection, okay? So I would want each one of us to be really, really reflective before going into our next relationship. If you're already in your relationship, again, reflection is key. You know, from now on, I hope you guys have got your pens and papers. For those that have been coming, you know we need our pens and papers here. But if there's anyone who hasn't, if you could just reach out for a pen and paper, that might be helpful. So our R is reflection. And by reflection, we are saying, really taking a good look at oneself, right? Your contribution to past relationships, how they've gone wrong, what you overdid, what you didn't do, what you tolerated, right? And then we need to think about what actually happened. Like really, really be honest with yourself. Be real with yourself. Because you're not doing this for somebody else. You're doing it in the privacy of your own heart and mind and paper, right? Let the paper be your best friend, right? Really do a clear exploration of what card did I play? What actually happened, right? And what needs to be done? Like what needs to change? So if you've not been with us the past 3 sessions, please do join the group. Leave your number in the comments and maybe to take it, and then go to the WhatsApp group. We've got the links to the old sessions so that you can go through everything and having a better understanding to how we reached where we are today. Okay, so you want to understand what needs to be done, right? What needs changing. So when we talked about our attachment styles were assigned to us in childhood, right? By 10, we were already assigned that. And it wasn't our fault. Whatever we became, whether it's insecure or if we are insecure, any of the three insecure ones, it's not our fault that we became that. Things were happening around us that made us become insecure, right? But now you're an adult, now you know this information. There's loads more information out there that you can help yourself to heal, right? There is no excuse for not healing. I get very excited about my work, as you can see. I want people working on themselves and healing to be like an attractive, cool thing. You know, in New York, if you don't have a therapist, you're not cool at all. So we want to get to that place in our communities where we're so proud of the fact that I've been working on my mental health, I've been working on my emotional health, I've been working on my emotional well-being, that being a priority, right? Because if we don't give energy to healing, give energy to wellness, we are going to get, at some point, we're going to have to give a lot of energy to then recover from whatever, from illness, right? So before you actually become ill, this is the time to really invest in your wellness, in your emotional wellness. Yes, so back to our reflection, what do I need to do, right? Be honest with yourself as well, okay? And are you ready? Okay, so R could be ready as well. Within your reflection, R could be ready. Are you ready for the relationship actually? Sometimes we think we're ready, but sometimes we're actually just doing it because that's what we've done, because we are so programmed to just follow what either society has set for us, that you go to school, you go to and do your O-levels, and then if you don't go for A-level, you go to college or you go to work, or if you then go to A-level, you go to university. From university, you got to find a boyfriend to marry you, or a girlfriend to marry, and you know, and there's almost a pattern that's set for us that we've got to follow, right? And so we're never thinking, we're so automated because these belief systems are so ingrained in our subconscious. Okay, so you've got to be responsible for yourself. No one is coming to rescue you. And I find that very beautiful, actually, that you have to rescue yourself, because then you decide when you rescue yourself. Because when we are waiting for other people to rescue us, we might be waiting forever and for a long time. So be responsible and rescue yourself. Yes, that's another hour for you there. Rescue yourself. And the bigger issue here is to rewrite your script. You don't have to, you know, relive the stories, relive the life that you probably was living before, the love life that you've been having. You know in your conscious mind what you want for a relationship, right? We're going to do a little exercise about that. You already know what you want for your relationship, but why are you not getting it? It's because of healing, okay? Then E, I'll just kind of whiz through because of time. E is for enough, right? A lot of our problems in life and in relationships is because we are not fulfilled, we are inadequate, we do not feel enough, right? Because we feel empty and not enough, what do? We look for love to replace that emptiness. And unfortunately, that emptiness cannot be filled by things outside of ourselves, okay? The world and society tells us, right, to get self-esteem, right? And then we think self-esteem is what makes us feel enough. So what you will realize is self-esteem is based on things that are outside of ourselves, right? Things like you've got a good job, you've got flawless skin, you got a good marriage, your kids are doing very well, you're doing very, you know, you're getting promoted, or you've got your degree. So things that are outside of ourselves that have a lot to do with achieving is what gives us self-esteem, okay? And people confuse self-esteem with what? Self-worth. Self-worth is the rating that you give yourself in private. And the difference is self-esteem is about others looking. Self-esteem is about the pre-registered things that we've got to climb, as a ladder that we've got to climb. When we climb the step, we feel good. We have confidence from that, right? But self-worth is that rating that you give yourself. And usually we give ourselves a very low rating. Why? Because of what is in our subconscious. Nobody's seeing it, but we rate ourselves. That's why you will see a beautiful woman, educated, they're lacking nothing when you see them. They are, they're being abused. And you're thinking, why are they staying? Because they do not value themselves. The rating that they give themselves in private is very low, right? So they may be esteemed, their self-esteem and their confidence is high, but how they view themselves based on what's in their subconscious, which is who we are. Remember what we said on I think day 2? What's in the subconscious is who we are. All those belief systems and the wounds and everything, that is who we are. So we then see ourselves through those lenses, right? So we don't rate ourselves as highly as how other people see us, because people see us from the self-esteem point of view, but we rate ourselves from who we are from the inside, and nobody else can see that, right? So when we are not enough, we're going to rate ourselves so lowly, right? Sorry, excuse me. I just want to sneeze, sorry, oh dear. But it's not coming. Okay, so we rate ourselves very lowly. So when we are enough, right, we are full of love. Okay, I was trying to draw here a kind of bucket or something. So we've got love, right? So we need to feel that space with love, but only our own love. But I'll talk about love in a bit, right? When we love ourselves fully, we will feel enough and we'll start to value ourselves and rate ourselves very highly, right? And that rating has nothing to do with other people because it's an internal thing, it's an internal game. And what you need to understand is it has no bearing to how we are on the outside, right? It is just an inner confidence and inner knowing that we are worthy. You understand? That is the enough. Well, you know, when you get to that point where you just know you're enough, you don't care whether you've lost your job, at that point, you're still enough. You deserve respect. You don't allow anything that is hurtful coming towards you, right? You gravitate towards peace because you know you're enough. Whether you're poor, all those things that society see as negatives, if you're in those positions, you will still value yourself. You still see yourself as a king and a queen. Why? Because you are. But getting to that point, we need to be cleaning our subconscious to feel enough, to feel valuable. So you can walk towards that. But you don't need anything from the outside to get to that point where you feel enough, where you feel full. And when you're full, the benefits are you have boundaries, you're more loving, you're coming from a loving place, not a fearful place, right? You are less tolerant of things that hurt you, right? Okay. So and then you know when we are not enough, there's a lot of wounding that needs healing, isn't it? Like I said. So what we do then when we're not enough is we bleed, right? And we start bleeding onto other people. And those people that are not healed, that we are attracting in our lives, that we're keeping in our lives, as in a relationship, they also bleed on us. And then it just becomes messy, right? Because we are bleeding, and when they bleed, we can't see that people are bleeding on us because we're already red, right? But when we've cleaned up and somebody then bleeds on you, right? Or messes, they do their crap and then try to mess it on you, you can then tell that, somebody has messed me up because you have less mess on yourself. So healing is key, right? We can't go around that. Healing is key if we want to feel fulfilled, if we want to feel full. We are then able to walk away from very abusive relationships because we're not depending on the love that's coming from the relationship. We're depending on our own love that we've generated through our healing process, okay? And then A, A is authentic, okay, self. So we want to be authentic versus approval. Because when we are seeking approval from others, I'm sure you know how that goes. We are always choosing to abandon ourselves over the approval that we need from other people. I'm sure this has happened to us lots of times where we think, oh my goodness, my needs don't matter. I better please this person because I need their love. I don't want them to abandon me, right? Or I better please this boss and take on too much work. Why? Because we are our sense of self depends on other people's tick, giving us a tick or passing us and welcoming us in and accepting us. So we want to be able to walk around being authentic. And we can never be authentic unless we're feeling full and depending on our own love, right? So the love that we're yearning and seeking, whether from co-workers, whether it's from our relatives, from partners, even from children as well. Children will run rings around us. Why? Because their approval of us is so much needed because we have nothing inside of ourselves, or we have nothing more positive going on in ourselves. So we are trying then to convince people outside of ourselves to give us that sense of you are good, you're doing all right and all that. And we cannot self-soothe, we cannot self-validate, right? When we're seeking approval, we're saying, please validate me as authentic. But those people don't know you. That's what that's what we forget. People only know what you're trying to give them. And it is exhausting as well, having to show up all the time in a way that pleases that person. And then the next time you have to change for the next person and the next. And then imagine in a whole day, you're having to perform for 8 different people because this one approves of you in a certain way, this one approves you. So you then lack a sense of authenticity. Because when we talk of authenticity, people think it's about having your natural hair, not putting on makeup, not wearing, certain kind of clothes or whatever. Authenticity is just you coming out with your peaceful self. Whatever that makes you, but where you're really in your peace, right? It's an energy and an emotional state. It's not what's going on outside. So people think, okay, now I've finally done this. I got my afro, so I'm authentic. It's only a small part of being authentic, right? But the major part is in your naturalness or whatever it is that you're bringing, are you still allowing people to break your boundaries? Or do you even have the boundaries? Do you see? So when we have boundaries, we are saying, I don't like this. So we are showing up to relationships with or knowing what you accept and what you don't. You're showing up to relationships, not being afraid to upset the other person because you've chosen yourself, right? So people that are not authentic will say yes when they mean no, or they'll say no when they mean yes. That's not being authentic. So we are going through life pretending that we're okay with things that we're not okay with. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going through life going, sorry, I called what came through. So we're going through life being pretentious. So think about it. Every time you're in a relationship that you accept things that you don't really want, it means you're not being authentic, right? And you're going to then create a habit where you are always going to deny your own needs in the relationship. You're going to be abandoning yourself in favor of saying yes to somebody else. So next time you're saying yes, right? Be careful that you are not saying no to you. If your yes is a yes and you're also saying yes truly to you, then that's fine. Let your yes be yes. But be careful every time you say yes, always check, am I abandoning myself again? Am I betraying myself again, right? So yes, so that is authenticity. Authenticity is always coming and speaking your truth, saying your truth as kind as you can, giving your truth, always leading with your true self forward. L is for love, right? I think I've already touched on that. So love, not from the outside, but love coming from the inside. And loving yourself is not selfish at all. It's the most selfless thing you can ever do. And the reason is, you know all the crap that you are, right? We're always hiding all these crappy things about ourselves. Okay, is there any room for tolerance? Joe says, yes, there is. That's why there's something called compromise, right? But if you're the one who's always, people don't even get to the stage of compromising because they're always easily agreeable to everything. Why? Because they have fear of losing the relationship. Why? Because the relationship is everything to them. Okay?
Yeah.
So then it's easy to get abused then, because there's no room to walk away. There's no room to even negotiate, right? So the person that doesn't even get there. So these are the people I'm talking about. These are the situations I'm talking about, right? Negotiation is good, whether in the workplace, in the relationship, in any relationship you are in. For things to move forward, you may want to disagree to agree and then find a common ground, yes? So L, love. The love I'm talking about is self-love, right? And it's not selfish. Loving yourself is the hardest thing you will ever come across. It is selfless because you're learning to love those parts of you that you're so disgusted with, the parts of you that you've been trying to hide, but you're forcing yourself to like and love them, right? So it's the hardest thing, the selfless thing to do, because it is the hardest thing you're ever going to do. And remember as well, we've been trained to love others and never been trained to love ourselves. So again, that's kind of a tricky, difficult journey, but it's doable. But we need that love for ourselves. Why? For us to then feel full, okay? We cannot be full unless we have loved ourselves. So I'll just list a few things that are necessary to feel fulfilled. First of all, you got to practice self-compassion. It's a must. I always say to my clients, self-compassion should be the ticket that gets you to the journey or to the destination of self-love. You need to be kind to yourself. There's some kindness that you give to others, you need to give to yourself, right? The same kindness that you give to people that you love unconditionally, you have to start giving yourself, include yourself in that circle of compassion. Do not ever leave yourself out of it, okay? Then there's self-knowledge. You have to start knowing yourself. You need to be self-aware. So you have to start befriending yourself and getting to know you, like spend time with you, quiet time, so that you get to know yourself, just like you would spend time learning and trying to know a friend, right? A friend, a new best friend. So you got to befriend yourself like that. You need to accept, okay? Whatever you found in your research, in your self-awareness journey, you need to be accepting of it, right? All the cracks, the crap, the wounds, everything, right? It is who you are. And accept the position that you're in. That's all we're saying. It is very difficult sometimes that we look at other relationships and we're thinking, I want to be like them. But you're not on the same healing page as them. You're not at the same secure page as them, right? So you work from where you are, okay? There's something that I missed when I was talking about when I was talking about healing, that, people are quick to run away from relationships, thinking, okay, I'll try my best, try my life in the next relationship. But the best thing, unless your life is in danger, the best thing is to heal where you are, okay? Because a lot of people, when there's crisis, they say, pack, go, I would leave. And they probably would leave as well. Or when you do that, you are just being reactive, right? You've not thought through everything. What I would say is heal where you are. I'm not saying stay in a relationship that are damaging you, but you are not just staying, you're staying in and not just letting things be. You are working on yourself. So it includes things like going for counseling with the partner, or if they don't want, going counseling for yourself. And when you go counseling for yourself, You're not just doing it to save the relationship. You're doing it because you want to get to a place where you can have a proper reflection, where you are then thinking, am I supposed to be here, right? Especially if the other person is not working as well or working with you, right? I kind of feel like some people become, sorry, someone could read that for me. I couldn't.
Oh, all right. If you want me to read it for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna read the chats after you were done.
Afterwards. Okay, we'll do that later then.
Yeah,
Is
all
seeking
right.
help,
Yeah.
is seeking help a sign of weakness? No, that is one of the things I'm going to talk about, at least for self-love. So weakness and failing, you should be embracing those things. Weakness is the best thing ever because it means you're now able to be vulnerable. And I'm talking right now, especially to my avoidance, because they are so vulnerable at this. They hate vulnerability. That's why they just cut and run. And every time that they're forced to face their emotions, they're forced to be vulnerable. You want to be vulnerable, right? And vulnerable does not mean being a doorstep and letting people just walk all over your boundaries, but it is for you to actually accept the parts of you that are not so good. You have to be really beside yourself and be humble. Seriously, you've got to be vulnerable and be willing to say, I'm willing to be weak and ask for help. I'm willing to be weak and say I'm wrong. I'm willing to be weak and really pay attention to the parts of me that need me, that are forgotten and broken and abandoned, right? But that takes vulnerability. So weakness is not a negative thing, right? It is actually a strength because you're allowing. So being a weakness is different from being a victim, right? Because we want to move away from victim mentality. We want to own even our broken parts as well and say, yes, I'm broken. Yes, I'm weak. These are my shortcomings, but I'm willing to do something about it. I'm willing to research on how to get it right. I'm willing to sort things out for myself. I'm willing to even ask other people to help me. So part of what is necessary with this self-love journey is being okay with accepting help from others, because that's part of your self-care, right? When we're self-caring, we're not always going to find ourselves at the top of the chain of strength, right? But remember, there's strength in actually asking for help, right? Vulnerability is a form of strength, like accepting I am weak right now and I need help and your help. But again, you have to show some, you have to be careful who you're inviting to help you as well. So you're gonna be sifting through and not just say anybody can help me, because you want to know whoever that you're being vulnerable. And when we're talking about vulnerable, people have to earn the right to hear your vulnerability. People have to, or to see your vulnerability. People have to earn the right to hear your story. You know, when we have these stories that we be ashamed of, that we are hiding, people have to earn the right to hear it. So we're not just going, yes, it's got to be someone that you feel emotionally safe with. And then you allow yourself to open and be vulnerable. Sometimes you may just be vulnerable on paper initially as a trial, right? Write your shame stories on the paper. Apologies, everyone inviting and sorry. So yeah, so write on paper, because the paper is not going to give you any feedback that is going to be damaging or that you're going, that's going to upset you. So try being vulnerable first on paper or in your diary, okay? And then self-acceptance, knowledge, self-care. We talked about self-care. Self-care includes boundaries, right? You have to set boundaries, but your boundaries are going to be as high as whatever your fullness or your healing is, right? The more healed you become, the more boundaries, the more solid your boundaries are going to be, and they've got to be balanced boundaries, because avoidance will be saying, I have boundaries, I don't tolerate that. But what you have is just a stone wall. They are not boundaries, because boundaries are, you set them clearly. Other people can still interact with you, right? You can still interact with other people, but you're able to communicate your boundary clearly, right? But avoidance will just put this wall up, and then that's it, boom. They have no access to others, others have no access to them, right? So that's unhealthy, and you need help for that. I mean, you need to find yourself help so that the wall comes down and you've got a pretty little picket fence where so that others can come in and out, okay? But others can see so that there's dialogue, there's communication. And for people who are, what you call them again, the love addicts or anxious preoccupied, you usually don't even have boundaries. And then you wonder why people are just walking all over you because you've not set your boundaries straight, right? So that is part of self-caring. Again, you will need help to be able to get to a point where you feel secure-ish, a bit secure enough to even mention what the boundary is and let alone leaving it in space, in place, right? And not just moving it back and forth just because you're yearning and desperate for another person's love. So you keep pushing the boundary closer and closer to you until people are in your space and taking everything from you. So we can never be full if we keep giving from nothing, right? So take time for self-care. You need quiet time, you need time for healthy living, invest in your wellness, whether it's emotionally or physically, about what gets into your mouth. Care about your strategies that you're using for stress relief. Yes, because that's where we go wrong. We get stressed and then lots of our stress relievers actually get us unhealthy, right? So it's all those things. But mainly in relationships, boundaries matter. They are the first self-care that you've got to look at, okay? And then forgiveness. You've got to forgive yourself for things that you don't know, things that you've done, things that you've tolerated, and all that. And start a new life where you're pledging to do better for yourself and give yourself better, right? You want to sleep well, rest well. So you want to change a lot of your script. The script that you're running on right now says a lot of things, right? It says a lot of mean things and you agree with it, right? Because you tolerate that. Okay, those thoughts, the negative thoughts, sometimes we even voice out those negative, mean thoughts about ourselves. Why? Because it's coming from a script that's pre-written, which is in our subconscious, right? So when we have negative thoughts and then maybe we're listening to some audio stuff that's saying we need to challenge our negative thoughts and so on. Yes, we can do that, but it's just a temporary thing. What we need to do is rewrite the script, right? We want to rewrite the script so that when our thoughts are running through the script, they are running through positive stuff. They are running through things that are affirmations that build us up, that make us better, that bring us peace, that align with what we want, the kind of relationship we want, okay? So when we say we want, this is the kind of relationship I want for myself, if your subconscious is saying something else, it's just gonna come and sabotage everything for you because it's not familiar with this good thing vibe that's going on there. It just needs to feel safe, so it will continue to tolerate and attract people that are abusive towards you or people that are disrespectful, because there's a lot of disrespect stored in your subconscious. Okay, so if there's anyone that wants the rewriting of the script, yes, I'm offering for £29. You can send me a text and then you can have a personalized rewriting of your script. Okay, so you can do so. You can ask for my number and then you can get it and then send me a text and then we can take it from there. Okay, and then what else have we got? Self-care, acceptance, forgiving yourself. Yes, so self-talk, meanness to self. We are so mean to ourselves that if we were to broadcast the things we tolerate in our heads and the things that we even say to ourselves, we'll be in a psychiatric hospital right now, right? So we need to do away with that. I think that is the most damaging thing, that we are agreeing with our abusers from the past, with unpleasant people that have said things in the past. We're agreeing with them. We're so mean to ourselves that we wouldn't even say some of the things we say to ourselves to our worst enemy. So that's something that needs rewriting and framing so that you stop seeing yourself in that way. Because if you do continue that way, you will never fulfill, right? You'll forever be empty. Okay, so Opening the floor, but before we open it, I'm just going to do a little exercise with you guys. Okay. I want you to just have a little think about and write in your own private space. What is it that you want for a relationship? How do you want your partner to show up? How do you want your partner to show up in the relationship? What do you want them to give you or to be like in the relationship? Just write that for yourself. And I need you then to think about, what do I need to do? What do you need to do to facilitate that? Is there anything that you can do maybe to facilitate that happening? Okay. So what I need you to think about is, when you think about a relationship, right? A lot of the times we focus on the individual, okay? We focus on the person, and we get lost when we focus on the person, because you know, we then lose sight of what we want for the relationship. When we think of the relationship, how we want it to be, if we like the person, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to take that person and we're going to mold them into fitting in what we want for the relationship. Is that right? Am I right in saying that? Right? So normally, you guys have already said how you want the person to show up, right? It means that that's how you want the relationship to be. Right. I want a relationship. Sorry?
Hi, Olga, just a quick one. So Dr. Rosina Basina says, this is my first time attending. It's very interesting and brings up many good points. I have to leave now, but I'm looking forward to future sessions. Thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you. Bye. Okay. Okay. So
this
is the
I need his contact so that we can be able to invite him again next time.
Okay, I'll leave my number in the chat.
Please do leave your number in the chat so we can invite you for future sessions. And please, everyone who's just joined us today, please can we have your contacts so we can have them. Thank you, Dr. Basma.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mavis. So yes, so this is the last part. If we focus on the person, we're going to lose sight of how we want them to show up, right? Because at some point when they stop showing up like that, what are we going to do? We're going to either change ourselves so that at least, you know, we can accommodate them. Do you get what I mean? So my advice is, when you have your list of what you want for the relationship, right? Think about how when a job is being advertised, yeah? They do not say, we want Mavis for this job. Well, they could say, but most jobs, they will tell you what the job criteria is, okay? And then you have to apply, right? And that's why for single people, you have to go on multiple dates. Don't just say the one that you found, oh my God, he looks good, he sounds good, then he's the one, right? You'd have to just like, you know, if you're a manager, you'd go through all the resumes or all the applications and say, okay, I'm shortlisting these three. And for those three, they're not just gonna get the job, they have to come for the interview. So when we're then dating, the more we're dating, we are then finding out if this person is suitable for this role. These things that you've already found for yourself, you're saying, this is how I want the relationship to be. I mean, how I want someone to show up. If they have to work towards, so a lot of the time, I think the error that we make in dating is when we're dating, we think we are, you know, already in our heads, we're thinking, okay, we found the one, we've committed. And yet, especially for men, when they're dating, they are trying to see if you're suitable for the position, you see. So I think ladies, because of our emotional makeup, we're in trouble. Because as soon as the chemistry is going and they're firing up, we like them, that's it. We're then jumping all the steps because we like them and we're already on commitment. And then we're missing what? The stage where we're checking whether they're compatible, right? Because relationships are not just about the chemistry, oh, I feel good. They are also about compatibility. And again, for those that have come for the first time, you will need to see the other things that we talked about, especially about attachment styles and how, which attachment style may work better with the other. So, and loads of other things. So we want to not just jump into just wanting someone for the relationship, but treating it almost like a job. Like these are the standards I'm expecting. This is what I want. That's how I want you to show up to the relationship and focus on the relationship. Is the relationship healthy for me? Is it peace? Is it bringing peace most of the times? But if you're just focusing on the person, this is where control then comes as well, because you're trying to change them. If you can't change them, you're changing yourself. Abuse starts to happen again as well. So yes, thank you very much for coming up.
All right, so I'm gonna read the comments, and I think there are some questions as well in the chat. I think I'll start from the top. Well, Chipo says they feel threatened by successful women. I don't know. What do you think about that? Okay, so it depends from a person to person. If the person is relying on self-esteem, for instance, if a man is relying on self-esteem, remember what I said about self-worth and self-esteem. Some men are so full, right? They're enough. So they're not threatened because they know that even though he's not where he needs to be on the economy ladder, they know who they are. They know they're full, they're worthy. So they will be okay dating a beautiful, successful woman, right? So when you find those people that struggle with your beauty and success, it means that they're not there yet in the healing journey, or maybe they'll never be there. And then continuing to go ahead and dating them just means that either you are going to have to slow down for them to catch up. Because with men, what I'm saying now is also answering Joe's question, because he was saying, what do we do? Because as men, we have been trained, we've got this belief system that we have that tells us that this is how we've got to be as men, almost like the woman is got to be submissive and all that. So what I would say is, it is a natural thing for a man to want to be the leader and on top, right? In a relationship, in a romantic relationship, because men are just designed like that, right? Even we can take away societal rules, or we can take the nature, the biology, right, of men and the biology of women, the way we are designed, it is such that a man who is a masculine man will want to be a protector, will want to be a provider. And if we take ourselves to the olden days before colonization in Africa, things were structured like that because that came naturally, isn't it? That women are the nurturers, women are the ones who are the organizers, because we have the ability to be multitaskers, right? So we're good as knowing what to do with what the man has brought, so we know how to make it last for a whole month. So we are created with that. That's why men cannot multitask. We can only hyper focus on one thing and then finish it and then go on to the next. So again, we were designed like that. So a man who is a masculine man would want to be able to feel that they're providing, right? So when they are not providing, they're not feeling their best. Yes, or society tells them that, right? And again, their inner being tells them that as well, that they're not doing their job as a provider, they're not doing their job as a protector and all that. And because some of these roles have been lost like that,
or people have not even been trained, for instance. I think we talked about that last week off camera after the session, that some people are not trained. There are other nationalities who are good at it, who know their role as a man, right? But other people are looking at that and saying, yes, I still want that, but they are not showing up and being motivated to better themselves so that they can get a better job, so that they can be what? They can be providers, right? So as women as well, we found ourselves then having to be doing more of the working in the household, for instance, those that are in relationships or that are in marriage. So we're doing more. And because when you're in your when you're working, you're in your masculine energy. And masculine energy is about like being boss lady, and it comes with a lot of aggression, okay? Once you're in your working and boss lady, you're in your masculine energy and you are aggressive when you're in that state, okay? So it takes away from the woman's softness and nurturing and sensuality and all that. It takes that away from you because you're either overworked, that's why you're snapping all the time, right? So again, if you're a very motivated woman and right now you're looking and trying to position yourself for love, you need to look for somebody who is more motivated than you so that you don't have to slow yourself down because this person is already way ahead of you. Because definitely if we're talking about being real, right? We have to be real. Men will want to be on top, but you don't have to be pushing them on top because you stress them if they're not inclined to be that kind of person. So if you are so much of the boss lady, that's going to cause the dynamic that causes him to resent you for being successful, right? So you have to be thinking, even when you're dating, to get somebody who's economically better than you, or who has the potential to be economically better than you. Tsitsi put their hand up. Yes.
Right. Yes, Tsitsi, what did you want to say?
I was just going to comment on what Mary Olga is saying now. Like when a woman is successful and that causes problem with some men. I've heard one speaker saying that there are different kinds of people. There are some females who've got the like masculine characteristics whereby they like to take the lead, but there are also some men with feminine characteristics. So sometimes it might work best if you're a masculine female to go with a male that tolerates that is okay with a woman leading.
Yeah.
Rather than limiting yourself to go with a man who's already successful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
Might
very
cause
much.
problems.
Thank you very much for that, Tsitsi. That is very true. Okay. So thank you for coming up with that because I was going to get to that. That for people who feel that they do not want that's not for them, because this is for people who want masculine men. You get. Because a lot of us, when we talk about what we want on paper, we talk about that man, right? But that man will not work if you're masculine as well, right? So for those people who feel like there's nothing I can do, I don't even know how to activate my femininity is too much hard work, whatever. What you're going to do, you don't even choose. You attract a feminine leading man, a man who leads with their feminine energy, right? And that will work well. But the problem within our society is you will still encounter problems. And that's why a lot of us then encounter problems because we attracted the feminine leading men. But when they go out there and they hear other men's stories, right? Because they hang around in the culture that we are, that the man is going to be on top, then we have problems. Because if you think of the English culture, you can see someone who's a doctor with someone who's a porter, and it works because they don't ridicule each other amongst themselves, right? Because of that. The man knows that they're the dishwasher, they're responsible for the dishwasher, or even they can stay at home and look after the kids. And that balance is okay because their wife is the head of services, wherever they work, right? And then the men will say, I earn less, so let me stay. So that works in the English culture. But the problem with our ethnic cultures, our men are so ingrained that they've got to be this man. So even though we've been attracted to each other because I've got my masculine, I lead with my masculine, and he leads with his feminine, but it will have problems somewhere down the line because that man will wake up and think, I'm being made to do this. I'm being made to stay home. And other men are going to make him feel less than a man for choosing to do that. So these are the problems that I find when people kind of come for their relationship coaching, that they were fine when they met, but then there's some pressure on the men to become the men. Or the woman will wake up one day and think, I want you to be more masculine. And then you're pushing this poor feminine guy when he's okay with being feminine, and the dynamic then causes problems. Thank you, Titi, for that.
Thank you very much, Chipo. I see you are going now. Thank you for joining our session. And we're still going down with comments. I think I saw Joe somewhere there. Joe said, isn't that both extremes are troublesome, rating ourselves very low or rating ourselves very high? Excessive rating is likely to invite arrogance, ego, and disrespect. Just a little comment. I'm happy to be corrected and hear others' views at the end. Is there any room for tolerance in authenticity? That's what he asked.
I think I answered that while I was talking.
Oh, you answered it.
Yes, when we are, the person I'm talking about here, when I'm saying authentic and never saying yes while you're saying no to yourself, we're talking to people who are deeply damaged, who cannot communicate their needs, who have no ability to choose themselves, right? So I'm not talking of a narcissist who already says yes anyway to their own, who chooses themselves all the time. So this is trying to get to a balance where you're not neglecting yourself.
Okay,
right?
Let's go on to Emilia. Emilia says, I kind of feel some people become too dependent on their partners. Either the partner is the only friend they have and they don't like hanging out with other people due to fear their partner will cheat. What are the outcomes when it comes to one becoming too dependent on their partner? This is when abuse becomes too easier, as the partner knows that you have no help. You have no outside help, I think.
Okay, so when we are talking of, I don't know if you started with us, first session we talked about attachment styles, where I was saying secure people, this is how they operate. They're not there, when they meet someone, they're not trying to control that person in any way. They're very accepting of that person. And if the person is not a fit, they can quickly pick that up. And if they can communicate, okay, I don't think things are right here, and then they try and address things. And if things don't get changed, then they will be okay to what? To walk away, right? That's somebody who's secure. But most of us are, are of the unsecured attachment styles, the other three that are unsecured. So yes, someone who is controlling usually will actually make you lose all your, they'll work very hard to make you lose your other relationships, whether that's friendships, cousins, parents. They will kind of distance you from other people. And the reason they do that is because they want to manage to control you. And usually the attachment style that does that is the dual or the disorganized, or one of the other names, disorganized. Yeah. And because their major wound is what is, I am not safe, the world is not safe, nobody's safe. They're so always afraid that they want to control you to create some sense of security. So it's a false security. That's why then abuse starts to happen, because they're trying to get everybody out so that they can feel safe. Because they think if you carry on being influenced by other people, it makes them feel unsafe, right? Or they could say, don't wear that, because they've just suddenly had this threatening thought that other men are going to look at you and kind of like you. Again, that's threatening. So then they stop you. They say, your cleavage is out, or that thing is tight, and then you've got to change. And
yeah,
then,
you also, I think Cici has also put in a comment there. She said there's no need to maintain there's need to maintain your own networks outside the relationship. And I think last week you also talked about it, that your partner alone cannot fulfill your needs. You need other interests outside the relationship for it to be healthy as well. You know, you can't be, you know, with this person 24/7 and doing stuff 24/7. It's not healthy at all. You need other interests. And then again, you find you will be in different spaces. Your partner might not want to be with you 24/7, and you are the one who wants to be with them 24/7. I think that's where the abuse comes in, when they're trying to run away. You are saying you're abandoning me, and then they are saying they want their free time, and you know, it just becomes a hot mess. I can see Joe wants to say something. Joe?
Thank you very much. I appreciate a lot, my sister, from your guidance. I wanted to make a small comment, presumably in line with what Sister Tsitsi had said about having kind of like maybe a masculine character of a person who is a woman, and on this other side, there's a feminine kind of a guy. There is an organization there in England run by a friend of mine. It is called Lads Need Dads. Lads meaning young men, that they need fathers in their lives. One of the things that they do there is to invite people, some of them who are ex-soldiers, to train the boys to be boys. As you rightfully indicated, that even the biology itself of men, they are like that, they are masculine. So the challenge that will develop likely is there is a very minority of men who are kind of like feminine. So to match that, most of the time, it is troublesome. Then it also comes on the point that we had indicated, that when he starts to hang with other people, then they'll say, that's not what a man does. You know, and now it will bring the pressures in the relationship. I only wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Joe. Thank you so much. Yes, so it's real, it's out there. Yes, the relationship will work initially and trouble will come because of outside influence, definitely. And because our culture really somehow will influence this man to then want certain things that you then thinking, no, but I'm going to work 24/7. You're the one who's here. How come you're not really running the house as you should? You see, then there's this role reversal that will make this person feel very unvalued. And then that will exhaust you because you're coming from work and then you're having to kind of help out too much at home as well and do your, and again, support that man at home if they are a stay-at-home husband. So yeah, right. So it's very complicated.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. You said about not being quick to leave a marriage or whatever, or a partnership or whatever, and that you should seek counseling and that sort of thing. In our society, where we have had a lot of people also you know, being killed by their partners because of being in abusive relationships, is it okay for you to encourage people to stay in there? And also, when do we say enough is enough in those relationships?
Okay. So a lot of the killings that have happened, people had been physically abused at some point, right? So once that starts, really, when physical abuse starts, it doesn't end. It actually escalates and gets worse. Because what happens is when you stay the first time someone hits you, you are actually giving them the, almost like the go ahead. You're telling them that it's okay, it's acceptable, right? So it will happen. It also happens with emotional and financial abuse, any other abuse, right? Once you don't put a stop to it, once you don't talk about it, it will carry on. So for instance, if someone hit you the first time, right? If you don't involve the police, for instance, then they know they'll get away with it, right? So it's up to you. Once someone hits you, you could say, I'm going, and that's it, right? But a lot of people I know, once they involve the police, this person becomes scared. So they know you're not messing up, right? You're not messing about. But all the people that I know that end up being killed, there has been some physical violence that has happened at some point, right? That has been left to carry on and on and on. But the violence actually does not just start from nowhere. It starts with emotional abuse, with the control that we talked about, where somebody's isolating you from the family and all that, right? So to answer your question, it is once someone starts hitting you, they're not going to stop. It's actually just going to go worse. So even for people that call the police the first time, which is very rare for people to do, it carries on still sometimes. So if somebody just feels that they can do that, what stops them from then taking the next step of actually hurting you? Especially because a lot of the killings happen when you actually say you're going. That's the other danger as well. The killing happens when you are saying you are going, right?
Yes.
So again, the way you're going to leave has to be really supported. So I always say to people when I'm kind of delivering domestic violence stuff is when someone that you know is being abused, right? For instance, I'm in Derby and I've told you that these things are happening, my husband hit me and so on. Instead of you coming to take me, that's even more dangerous, right? You'd rather call, if I don't want to do anything about it, call my local services and ask what are the procedures, right? To safely leave somebody who is emotionally and probably physically abusive. Get the right information for me, and then come and then talk to me about it and see if I want to leave. Because a lot of the times people are not ready to leave because they are so wounded that the toxicity in this abuse is kind of familiar and okay. The disrespect is kind of okay for them. That's what I was saying. We're not promoting staying, but you're going to stay anyway because this disrespect is very familiar to your subconscious and to who you are because there's so much disrespect on your script. So, you know, for somebody who is secure, once they're hit, they're probably going to walk away, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to walk away. They're like, what are you doing? I don't know anything like that. It's so foreign from, you know, in who they are for people to lay their hands on them. So they're going to walk away. Was only doing it in case you might. Yeah, so, but what we have to need to understand is the complexities of abuse. That the person, like I was saying, they don't just start by hitting you. They strip you off of who you are, all of you, of who you are. By the time the hitting comes, you are so, your self-esteem has been taken away from you. So because you already have a low self-worth, right? And now your esteem, whatever made you feel confident, has been taken away from you as well. For instance, they could stop you from working or make, you know, take your money or, you know, reduce contact with those people that may make you sober, right? So I call them, the people that might rescue you, I call them the sobers, right? So they'll do away with the sobers so that you're always drunk in their crap that they're giving you or they're feeding you. And again, people that are being hit all the time, they're not getting bashed every day. That person actually is nice half the time. That's why people stay. Because if you're being hit every day, black and blue, then you would walk out. But they do it so strategically that, you know, there's then the fighting and then there's the forgiveness and then the cycle begins again. And then, you know, it goes on and on and on. So this topic actually needs its own series.
I think it needs,
series, right?
it needs this one series as
Very
well.
complicated.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And,
Right.
and sometimes as the sobers of those people, we make things worse for them because we're acting from our own wounded place as well. So we end up putting people in more danger than they are. Okay.
Right. Any more questions, guys? Does anyone want to say anything? Any more comments? So everyone is happy? I'm gonna stop the recording. Everyone is happy.
Yeah, it's been a great session.
Okay, let me stop.
Thank you.